Now, if we talk about the automotive sector and how it went in the year 2020, we kind of have to start with the year 2019 because you see, the year 2019 was really bad for the automotive sector. The sales were really bad, and as a result, 2020 was supposed to be the savior year. It had a good start in the first couple of months, and then we all know how 2020 went. Really bad. But once the pandemic lockdowns lifted, some relaxations came into place, people actually started buying more cars than before. So, while we are listing down the cars and we are understanding this trend of automobiles in India, I have someone really special joining me in this video. His name is Arjit Garg. He's the editor for automobiles at News 18, and this guy has driven every single car that has been launched in the past 1 year. So Arjit, welcome to the video, and let's start off with your first pick in this list.
Thanks, Manav. And for me, Kia Sonet has to be at the top of this list because it is the most path-breaking product of 2020. I got a chance to drive it post the lockdown. What makes the Sonet such a good product is this wide variety of engine and gearbox options. And apart from this, the features. I mean, if you look at the exhaustive list of features that the Sonet has to offer, most of those features come from Seltos, which is a segment above around 10-12 lakh rupees, and then the Sonet is priced very less to what Seltos is priced, but the feature list is almost similar.
I completely agree. I couldn't agree more. So I think my standout feature for the car would be the way it looks. I think it just looks stunning. It's one of the best looking cars in the segment, and additionally the price that it comes at. So at a starting price of 6.71 lakh rupees, I think it's a very well priced car in its segment. So I couldn't agree more. But you know what? This brings me to the second car to this list, which I would like to list down, which is the Hyundai Creta. And that car actually follows a very similar philosophy to the Kia Sonet, because even that is a feature-loaded car, looks good, and comes at a very accessible price tag. Do you agree?
My initial expression was the design is something which Hyundai has completely changed. This car looks too much European. The best looking profile for me was the rear end. What a brilliant looking car. That blue color which we saw for the very first time was completely unique, and in fact the red one also, the one you get in the turbo model. And not just the design, if you go inside the cabin, the whole layout of the instrument cluster, the infotainment system, the space inside the cabin, the feature list, in fact, wireless charging and everything. And below 10 lakhs is what they started the Creta, and it goes around 15-16 lakh rupees ex-showroom. So that's a very sweet spot for someone who is looking to buy a urban SUV.
Yes, the Creta, well, I'm going to keep it short. It's hands down the best selling SUV in our country for the year 2020. But there was another car that made its return this year, wasn't it? And you particularly liked that one.
So this is an off-roader. We are talking about the Mahindra Thar. You know it. It's one of the best affordable off-roaders in India. But then Mahindra decided to change their heart and all that design philosophy, engine philosophy and everything. And they decided to take a sweet spot at the urban market. But believe me, I drove that vehicle and I was flabbergasted, so that is why I'm saying it's sort of personal bias. Looking at the design itself, it's completely new, looks fabulous on road, has a road presence. Then inside the cabin, a dark theme, completely new cabin, touchscreen infotainment system. You have all those comfort features which you usually get in an urban SUV. So that was also a very unique offering for the Thar itself. And then for the very first time, Mahindra decided to offer a petrol engine and an automatic gearbox in the Thar.
Demand of the Thar, Arjit, was spectacular, wasn't it? I still remember the first Thar was actually auctioned off for good purposes. And that car actually went off for 1.11 crore rupees, if I'm correct, right?
Right.
So, I mean, that really shows how popular the Mahindra Thar is, and the difference that it brings to the cars that we have available to buy in the Indian market. Now, speaking of difference, we have to talk about electric vehicles, because thanks to the coronavirus pandemic, we saw the impact of air pollution and how better things can get when pollution is less. So electric vehicles are getting popular. We drove the Tata Nexon EV earlier this year, and the electric version of the Tata Nexon in my book deserves to be in this list, because that car had a fantastic design. That was the first time we saw the new Nexon in flesh. That's the design that the electric version had. So it looked fantastic. The interiors were great. It had a very expansive feature list, like how Nexon always had. And on top of everything, it was an electric car, and it wasn't bad, was it?
A lot of people don't want to go for electric vehicles because of the range thing. Tata has tried to address the thing with more than 300 kilometers to a single charge range. And then the pricing again, electric vehicles, usually we have seen a couple of good electric vehicles, but they are priced upwards of 20 lakh rupees. But Tata managed to price it below 15 lakh rupees.
Yeah, I completely agree. It did bring innovation, it did bring a difference. And another car that brings us to the final car of our list, and both of us unanimously agree that this should be here in this list, which is the MG Gloster SUV. Now, that car brought in a lot of innovation, didn't it? It had some of the first industry first features in itself. You've driven that car as well, so tell us about it.
What MG Gloster did differently is it has brought this ADAS technology, the Advanced Driver Assistance System, to India at a price point which is below 40 lakhs. Now, most of the cars which offer this type of technology are essentially very expensive luxury cars. And not just that, the overall cabin design, it's a 7-seater SUV. You get a very minimalistic floating infotainment system, very similar to what the German cars have to offer. So what you feel when you go inside the cabin of the Gloster is that you are entering a German car.
Yes, and with that, we've actually come to the end of our picks of the top cars of 2020. Thank you very much, Ajit, for joining us and sharing some light. Your experience has really helped us. And so there you have it. These are our top picks of the year 2020.